today's tech tip, we're going to talk about leveling the camper and stabilizing the camper. There's a lot of different tools out there on the market that you can get. A lot of people will just use boards. When you get to your site, you can use just a plain level, and we've done this before where we'll put this level on the floor or on the counter in the kitchen, and we'll see if the camper is level from side to side. And if we're low on one side, we used to just put boards under the tires and we would pull the camper up on those boards, or you can buy these stackable little squares at Walmart, Amazon, all kinds of different places, and you can lay these things out and drive up on them. You can do a little ramp to get up onto a higher setup. All great options for getting your camper leveled. And when you're leveling your camper, you want to level using the tires, especially on a travel trailer like ours. That is how you want to level. Now, we upgraded this past year when we got this camper to a leveling system that we were watching some of our favorite YouTube channels, what they were doing, and they kind of introduced us to this. And that is the Andersen leveling system. And we got 2 of these guys when we bought them. And what you do is you put these, under the tires, and you pull your camper forward, and it'll slowly lift up the low side. And that's how we level our camper now. But for the most part, these have worked really good for us, and we've had really good luck. But we use these in conjunction with the LevelMate Pro, which we'll show here in just a little bit. It's a device that mounts on the camper, and it uses Bluetooth to transmit to your phone, and it'll show you, after an initial setup, it'll show you the level of your camper. So I can be in the truck, have these under the tires, and as I'm pulling the camper forward and it's lifting the one side of the camper, I can watch on my phone to see when the camper's level. And once it is level, the Andersen Levelers come with this guy, and you just slide it under there and it holds your camper in place. Let me show you where on my camper I mounted the LevelMate Pro box. I've seen people that have mounted them inside the camper. You can mount them on a wall. It gives you different instructions for how and where to mount it, in what direction, so that it knows what the front of the camper is, the back, the left side, the right side. But it does suggest the farther forward you can mount your LevelMate Pro, the better it's going to read. And being closer to your tow vehicle, then it's going to, since it is a Bluetooth connection, it'll have a better connectivity to your phone. If you mount it further back in the camper, then you may be stretching the limits of what that Bluetooth connection will be able to do, and you're going to have all the material of your camper between the transmitting device and your cell phone. So what I did is, here in my very messy cargo bay up front, I mounted my device on the wall. Turn a light on. I don't know what this is going to look like, but right here is my LevelMate Pro. There's a switch on the bottom to turn it on and off with, but the new models do have an auto shut off, so that if I was to leave this on, it will automatically shut itself off in a certain amount of time. I think some of the older versions didn't have that, and people were complaining that they forgot to turn them off, and it ran their battery down. I've got the LevelMate Pro app on my phone that you download once you get the LevelMate Pro unit that you put in your camper. And some of the really neat features of this is, as you saw as I was leveling, it shows you from side to side what the position is of the camper, and you can, from your truck, see when you get it leveled. But it also, down here at the bottom, has front to back. So once you've got it off the hitch, it'll tell you whether you've got the the camper leveled with the front jack. Now, another neat thing about this is the first time you set it up and you get the camper to what you want to call level, and by that I mean we don't like our camper perfectly level. We like the front end to be lifted up a little bit so that when we're sleeping, our heads are higher than our feet. And another thing to take into consideration is, where are the drains in your shower, in your sink? If they are to one side, you may want your camper just slightly higher on one side than the other. You got to be careful. You don't want it too high front to back or side to side, because you could mess with your slides. We have a single slide on this camper, and if it's not level when that slide goes out, you could do some damage to your slide. So although we do set our camper up not perfectly level, it's pretty close to level. It's just a very slight variation. And another really neat feature of this app is when you unhitch, like if you can see on my truck right now, I am just unhitched. I could hit save hitch position, and it's going to ask me if I want to set a new hitch position. I'm going to say yes. And then I can pull my truck forward, continue with leveling the camper, and depending on my camping spot, that front end may have to go way up, it may have to go way down. But it's when it's time for us to go home and I want to hook the truck back up, I can just do recall hitch position, and it will guide me to get the front of the camper right back to the position where it'll be perfectly set for me to hook the truck back up. So another neat little feature of this app. It's pretty simple to set up. Highly recommend the app, and I highly recommend the combination of this app with the Andersen Levelers, because using those two makes leveling and setting up your camper a lot easier. These Andersen Levelers only give you about 3 inches of lift. If you get to your spot and you have the LevelMate Pro, and it says, it'll tell you in inches how far either the passenger or the driver side is low. If it says you need to raise more than 3 inches, then you're going to need to put a board or something under the tires first to raise it up a little bit. Something else about these levelers, my tires, you can tell they're pretty close together, the design of this camper, which is funny because our last camper, yeah, my tires were like this far apart. It was crazy how far apart the tires were. But because these tires are so close together, the couple of times I've used these Andersen Levelers, I've had trouble getting them in between these tires, because I've got to get this in here. It's fitting right now because I dug the rocks out, and if I'm at a campground with dirt or loose gravel, I can dig it out a little bit and get this under there. But if I'm on a cement pad, I cannot get that leveler under the tires. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to end up cutting about 1 inch off the front of this one. I'll probably do it off of both of them just so they're equal in length. So that is something you may consider. If you get the Andersen Levelers and your tires are as close together as mine, you may have to modify these a little bit to be able to get them under the tires. So let's talk about stabilizing the camper. There's 2 different things you got to do when you get to your camping spot. You need to level, but once you're level, then you need to stabilize. And some people that are new to camping, and one of the reasons we've decided to do some of these tech tips is we've been camping with people that are new. They didn't understand what gear on their camper they should use for what. And I've talked to a lot of people that are looking at getting into camping, and they've asked me a lot of questions about, well, how do you do this? How does this work? One of the reasons for the tech tips. But what I want to point out is, and I was hoping to be able to show you me lowering the jack, but the button for it is on the other side and the light's better on this side, so we're going to stay on this side. But right here is my stabilizer jack. Once I have the camper level, I will lower those stabilizers. When I push the button, it'll lower the 2 stabilizers on the front to the ground, and then I hit the button for another second just to give it a little bit of force. These are only designed for stabilizing the camper, from keeping it from rocking so much when you're walking around in it. you do not want to try to lift your camper with those jacks. The way they're mounted, depending on how they're mounted under there, you could ruin the floors in your camper. You can damage the jacks. They're definitely not meant to lift the weight of the camper. They're strictly for stabilizing. So you want to have your camper level before you put those down, and then just apply a little force to help stabilize the camper. As I was talking about when I was on the other side of the camper, this is my button for extending and retracting the front stabilizers. I have the same setup on the back. Now there are some campers where instead of it being electric like this, you'll have a stabilizer here under the camper, and it's got a tool that you hook on there and spin it, or you can get an adapter for a cordless drill, put it on there, and it'll lower each corner's stabilizer one at a time. If you've got that style of stabilizer, that attachment for a cordless drill is a great tool. Our last camper had that style, and it was so nice to be able to just take that cordless drill and go around and lower all those and raise them when you're ready to go. And with that style of stabilizer, because of the way you can independently do each corner, people that have that style are a little more likely to not knowingly attempt to level or lift their camper with those, and that is where you can definitely cause damage to your camper. Again, never try to lift your camper with these stabilizer jacks. They're strictly for stabilizing. But here's the button for mine, and I'm gonna pull that one back up that we were looking at on the other side. A couple other items once you get to your site and you've leveled and you're putting your stabilizers down. There's some added things you can do to further stabilize your camper. We'd heard a lot about these. These are called XChocks. I've seen different variations on this. We've had really good luck with these. They came from where all other good stuff comes from. We got them off of Amazon. But what these do is they slide in here between your tires, and they come with a special tool. And I got it the wrong way. And they keep those tires from wanting to rock back and forth a little bit. Gives a little extra stabilization to the camper. When we first put these on, the first time we used them, I thought, that's not going to do any good. It can't make a whole lot of difference. It really did. We were really surprised when you walk around in the camper from front to back, some of that movement, it took out a lot of the movement in the camper. Inherently in a camper like this, you're going to have some movement when you walk around. These XChocks make a big difference in the movement inside the camper. So to wrap up this video, I wanted to mention one thing. I started to talk about it in the videos when I was demonstrating the LevelMate Pro, but I got sidetracked and never came back around to it. Once you have your camper leveled the way you want it, there's a setting in the LevelMate Pro app where you basically save that position for the camper. So the next time you go camping and you're setting it up and you turn on the LevelMate Pro, it will guide you to bringing your camper back to the exact same level position that you had it at last time. Great feature. We've really enjoyed that. What we're showing is the way we work our camper. We've recently learned about the LevelMate Pro. We've recently learned about the Andersen Levelers, and we've incorporated that into how we level our camper. Is it the best way to do it? Probably not. There's probably better ways to do it. But we have learned what we're doing now from other YouTube channels that we've watched. So if you guys are out there and you've been camping for as long or longer than us and you have a better way to level your camper, please share in the comments. We would love to hear about that and learn maybe a new way or a better way to do things. And also, if you're new to camping, or you're still finding the best way to level your camper, I'm hoping we've shared some tips that might help you, or shared some of the tools that we use that have made leveling our camper easier for us. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring the bell and you'll be notified whenever we put out our next video. Thanks for joining me.